Alrighty, time to check out the California weather forecast. Once again, I don't really know what's going on in the weather forecast as of today's models. I did do a little forecasting last night, so I know there should be a front moving through Tuesday, bringing some rain and snow to California. A front moving through Wednesday that should bring more rain and snow to California. Both those systems, as I checked last, looked pretty minimal, but then I think there's a big question mark towards the end of the week where some models are saying there's going to be a massive storm, and then some models are saying, oh, it's just going to go up into Washington. So we'll also take a look at that. But just starting off, just looking at the satellite imagery here, first thing I noticed, definitely more snow than the last time that I looked at this. We had a little system come through this weekend, and we did have some winter storm warnings out there, so you can see that it brought some snow. Now let's just check, see if we have anything on the radar. I think the front's completely gone now. Today is actually supposed to be a pretty nice day across California, and you can actually just see it's almost like this ridge pattern right here, which means it's not a trough coming through that's going to bring rain and snow. A ridge usually means it's going to be some drier weather, and when I looked outside this morning, it was mostly clear skies out there. So nothing really to worry about, I'd say, today. We should still check to see if there's any warnings, though, and yeah, I guess there's actually a lot to worry about today. So we'll do what we usually do. We'll go into Northern California first, and then one sec, I just want to make sure I get the live chat up, just in case you guys ask any questions, I'd be able to hopefully answer them. So we'll go into Northern California first, Bay Area, then maybe look at the Sacramento forecast up into the mountains, and then we'll go down into Southern California. So I guess there's a few things to worry about, and I should know this. I was forecasting about this last night. Widespread frost advisories and freeze warnings. This is pretty much done, though. These usually expire at 10 a.m. And what time is it now? Oh, it's 10 a.m. So those probably should be expiring pretty soon. We could check the freeze warning. In effect until 8 a.m. Tuesday. Oh, so it got extended. So it looks like tonight is expected to be as cold as it was last night. And last night was cold. I think I'll have to check with some of our numbers at the station. We log all of the daytime highs, daytime lows, and rain amounts. And I'd be surprised if last night wasn't the coldest night of the year so far. I mean, if you just look at how widespread that frost advisory is. And if you were awake early this morning, it was cold out there. So the freeze warning got extended through Tuesday. Let's see if the frost advisory did as well. Frost advisory remains in effect from 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. Tuesday. So it looks like it's going to be another cold one tonight. How cold are they expecting it? Temperatures as low as 32 will result in frost formation. And then where we have the freeze warning, that's where you see the kind of darker color. Last night I actually said this in my forecast. I didn't know whether to call that blue or purple. Maybe let me know in the live chat what you think. I started to say blue, and then I'm like, I think that might be purple. So let's click into the freeze warning and see a portion of Central California. Yeah, temperatures as low as 28 degrees expected. So definitely a cold one out there. Then it looks like we have this winter storm watch up in the mountains. We can just check out the timing on that. That's from Tuesday evening through late Wednesday night. So heavy snow possible, total snow accumulations of 12 to 18 inches possible. So I think that's actually bumped up a little bit from what some of the earlier models were showing. And winds could gust as high as 50 miles per hour. Something to think about there when you have over a foot of snow and windy conditions, that leads to a lot of snow blowing around, which leads to very low visibility, which leads to some dangerous driving conditions. And you notice where there's a lot of interstates and highways on this list. Interstate 80 over Donner Pass, Highway 50 over Echo Summit, and Highway 88 over Carson Pass. And travel could be difficult with possible travel delays, chain controls, and snow-covered roads. roads. Snow levels lowering to 2,000 to 3,000 feet late Wednesday. So I'd imagine the reason for that is the first front's going to come through, and you call it a cold front because behind it there's cooler air. And then the cold front is where that cold air is bumping into the warmer air. And then as the warm air that rises up along the front leads to your cloud formation, a lot of the rain and snow that you might get. But behind that front is where the cold air fills in. So we're going to have one front go through on Tuesday, cold air fills in, and then another front come through on Wednesday, even colder air fills in. Or I don't know if it's technically colder, but it's just going to be a double whammy of cold air. So then, yeah, it looks like Wednesday those snow levels are going to drop down, and that allows snow to be a lot more widespread. Then sometimes when you have atmospheric rivers, it'll be coming so much from the south that it's pulling in a bunch of tropical air. So then that can actually lead to higher snow levels because it's not cold enough down at 2,000 or 3,000 feet to pick up snow when you're pulling in air from the tropics. Hopefully that wasn't too wordy right there. Check the live chat. Matt says, coldest night of the season. We're only 8 days into the new year of the year. Yeah. So I would agree. It felt like the coldest to me. And I did look up what are the coldest months. And around the Central Coast, almost every single city, the lowest temperature of the month was both December and January. And I don't ever remember seeing widespread frost advisories or freeze warnings like that in December. And now we're in January. This is definitely the coolest day of January. So, I don't know. Seems like it is the coldest day of the year. So now that we've looked at the warnings, that's usually the first thing to do. So frost freeze this morning, and then frost advisory Tuesday morning. Okay, so the frost advisory Tuesday morning is not as widespread. So it's going to be cold, but not as cold. And then unsettled weather returns Tuesday and Wednesday. So light to moderate rain showers with gusty wind, 10 p.m. Monday to 10 p.m. Wednesday. Oh, looks like the front might be coming in a little earlier than yesterday was showing. Yesterday was showing that the front would come through like Tuesday afternoon. So we'll check the maps in 1 second. First, let's just check the forecast discussion. Cold conditions continue through this morning. That's an understatement. With frost advisories and freeze warnings in effect, unsettled weather and cool conditions return Tuesday and continue into the next weekend. And yeah, I think we'll just stop with the summary right there. And let's actually check out some maps. So California rain total. Again, we're going into Northern California first and then Southern California, but I do usually like to just look at all of the whole state for rainfall and snow, just to get a basic idea of what we can expect before we dive into the exact timing and totals. So that looks to be the first system right there, then maybe the second system right there, and then let's see if that third one's still showing up. So that's through the middle of January at this point. It's showing over 6 inches for the northwest coast. Hard to tell up in the mountains because most of that's going to be snow. And then around the Bay Area and Santa Cruz Mountains, looks like we have some purple, which is maybe 1 to 2 inches. So that's not too much. Seems like that big storm has already been downgraded. And that's why I didn't get too excited about it in my last live stream, was that far out, the models changed so much. So originally we were looking at just widespread 5 inches of rain, 7 feet of snow. Oh, I probably should get my calculator back out just in case we need to check out any snow totals or do some math. And then down in Southern California, close to nothing. So this has been a big update from the last time that we looked at the models. Now let's check our winter weather. Total snowfall. So coming in here, this is going to be you see the first wave go through. Yeah, it didn't look like there was much with the first wave. That's the second wave. Maybe 6 inch. I guess the National Weather Service was saying 12 to 18 inches. Seems like they often overcall it. This map It looks like more widespread would be about 6 to 12 inches. Maybe the highest elevations could pick up the 18 that they're talking about. And then let's click through the middle of January. Let's see what happened to that super storm that we were talking about that was in Fantasyland, and I shouldn't say it fell apart, but compared to the last time we looked at this model, this is a huge difference. Last time we looked at this model, I think I maybe did it Thursday or Friday last week, and all of the Sierra was showing 50, 60, 70. There was even a few spots showing 80 inches of rain. Now when you look at this, the highest number I can find, my eyes aren't that great. Oh, I can zoom in. That helps. 25 inches. So, and there's a little orange on that map. So let's see. Oh. So orange on the map is going to be 2 to 3 feet. So yeah, there's still some orange on there, but that's very different than when we looked at this last time and the entire Sierra was orange. So yeah, that's maybe a little disappointing for some, but maybe it's good news for others. We certainly don't want dangerous conditions out there. Now let's check out the California rain. No, we already looked at that one. Let's check out the NorCal rain rates. Let's actually time out when this system is going to be coming in. Because yesterday I was looking at it, showed it was going to come in Tuesday afternoon, but then now the weather service is saying maybe some rain showing up Monday night. So let's break it down. The timing is at the top right here. You can see January 7th, 10 p.m. Nothing going on there. That's all clear. Then there's a little something up in the very northern parts of the state. Then it looks like 1 a.m. on Tuesday is where it starts to move into the California-Oregon border. 4 a.m. on Tuesday starts to make its way through Northern California. There's some yellow on this, so that's some heavy rainfall. The light blue is going to be your snow. And yeah, it looks like a pretty weak system. So you notice that yellow disappears from our rainfall, and the snow is about as light blue as it could be. What the color represents, you can actually see it in the color bar down here. It's snowfall or rainfall rates. So the lighter that color is, that means the less rain or snow you're picking up per hour. So when it gets into the yellow, that's like 0.2 inches of rain per hour. And when it's this light green, it's pretty close to nothing. So looks like it's in the North Bay, 7 a.m. Tuesday. And then 10 a.m. Tuesday, that's where the front is directly almost like splitting California in half. And then there is some snow up in the mountains. It doesn't look like the snow is that widespread though. So I'd imagine we'll see some of these snow levels drop down when the second system comes through. Because remember, the cold air is going to be filling in behind that front. So let's check the live chat right here. Common cold here right now. That's what Robert says. Yeah, common cold here too. Are those forecasts open source? Yes, this is Pivotal Weather. It's my favorite website that I use. I do use the I have a subscription to this, so I don't know if everybody has access to the local maps like this, where it zooms all the way into Northern California. But yeah, definitely check out Pivotal. That's by far my favorite site. So then it clears up. That's 10 p.m. on Tuesday. But then right when that first system starts to move out, the second one starts to move in. And let's see if this one looks a little bit bigger. When I was looking at it yesterday, it is. Where you see that purple, that's going to be your heavy snowfall rates. And then right off the bat, you can see that the snow is a lot more widespread. That means this is going to be the colder of the two systems. And it's most likely due to the back-to-back nature of these two storms, where the first one brings in all the cold air, and that kind of sets the stage for the second one, because the colder it is, the lower your snow levels are going to get, and you can see how widespread it is. 4 a.m. on Wednesday. And again, that purple is going to be where your heavy snow is. Not as much heavy rain, though. This has been maybe 2 or 3 systems in a row where it ends up bringing maybe some decent snow, but then the rainfall ends up being pretty minimal. So rain gets into the Bay Area. That's 7 a.m. on Wednesday. Widespread snow up in the Sierra, even some heavy snow by the time it gets to Lake Tahoe. Moderate to heavy. 10 a.m. on Wednesday. So that's Bay Area. Looks like down through the Santa Cruz Mountains, covered in light rainfall and then decent amount of snow going up into the Sierra. And this could end up being a decent snowstorm. See that little purple show up right there? And we're still seeing some snow in the southern Sierra 10 p.m. on Wednesday. So let's break down the timing on that. Starts to come in 10 p.m. Tuesday, and then it's gone 10 p.m. Wednesday. So it's a pretty quick hitter. It's not one of those storms that just sits over California and continues to funnel in moisture. A lot of times these are the storms that end up being mostly beneficial. So we've looked at the first two. Now let's look at the one that in the past was our fantasy land storm, showing 7 feet of snow coming in. And this one was one of those ones where it just hovers off of the coast and a low just funnels in moisture and an atmospheric river. So not going to spend too much on the timing on this one just because it'll most likely change by the time we actually get to Friday. But this is the big storm. So starts to come in Friday night, and then it becomes a lot more widespread with some heavy rainfall, heavy snow, 7 a.m. on Saturday. Okay, this could still be a big storm. It's just maybe not as big as it was originally showing, but that's certainly much bigger than the system coming in Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's 1 p.m. on Saturday. You see the yellow, widespread, heavy rainfall, and then heavy snow up into the Sierra. But the big change that I see is that in the past, I was clicking through here, and for days and days, it was just continuing to bring more rain and snow. Now it looks like it's expected to be a lot quicker of a storm. So what I'm interested to see is last time it showed a low moving down into California and then another low turning into an atmospheric river. So it was almost a little 2-for-1 punch. Now it maybe just looks like it's the one storm coming down from the north. So breaking down the timing, maybe 4 p.m. on Friday comes through and gone by 10 a.m. on Sunday. That's interesting. So now let's check out the rain totals that are expected. Let's go back to this model because all the frames are already loaded. Let's check this out. So first storm, this is the Tuesday one. This is going to be, let's stop at by Tuesday night. Not much. Sacramento, Santa Rosa, San Francisco, 0.1. A lot of the cities throughout Sacramento Valley aren't even showing anything. So hopefully the second one is a little better. It looked like it was supposed to be. By Wednesday night, not much better. San Jose, 0.2, San Francisco, 0.2, Santa Rosa, 0.1. And keep in mind that you're adding on to the totals. So it's 0.1 for the first storm. I shouldn't even call them storms. 0.1 for the second storm for San Francisco, for example. Up in the northwestern parts of the state, though, that's in the red. So that's maybe 2 to 3 inches up there. Now let's check out that final storm. So that's going to be, it was Friday through Saturday. And clicking, so we'll stop it by Sunday. Northwestern parts of the state, that's 4 to 6 inches potentially up there. Eureka, around 5 inches. Redding, 2 inches. So this is by the end of this week. Chico, 1 inch. Sacramento, around 1 inch. Stockton, 0.5 inch. Santa Rosa, 1.3. San Francisco, San Jose, pretty close to 1 inch. And then Santa Cruz Mountains in the pink, which would be maybe 1 to 2 inches. So it definitely looks a lot different than it did when we looked at those models last. But again, it's a beneficial kind of storm where it's not so heavy and it's not so long lasting that it leads to widespread flooding. It just brings some much needed moisture back into the state without some of the damages. So there's our first system. By Tuesday night, not much snow up in the Sierra. You're in the light blue, so that's maybe, looks like it's under 6 inches for much of the Sierra. This is by Wednesday night. That's where you get to actually see some pink. That's where we could... National Weather Service was saying 12 to 18 inches. I'd say more widespread is going to be 6 to 12 inches, and then much more up in the northern parts of the state. Now let's go through all the way to the end of the week so that we're adding on the totals from that big storm. And yeah, northern parts of California see over 2 feet. You're in the orange there, so that's maybe 2 to 3 feet up there. There's some orange in the Sierra, so that's maybe another 2 to 3 feet, and then widespread areas in the dark pink. So that would be 1 to 2 feet of snow. Widespread 1 to 2 feet of snow there. So I'd say that's pretty decent. Now, is there anything else we need to check out for Northern California? Maybe let's check out the temperature anomalies. This is maybe the first thing that I should have showed, because right now it's probably showing we're about 20 degrees below average. At least that's how it feels. Up in the Sierra, yeah, they actually are 20 degrees below average. And I need to go. Yeah, maybe I'm just kind of a baby. Around the Central Coast, we're about 5 degrees below average. It's certainly not as cold as it is up in the mountains. That's where they're 20 to 25 degrees cooler than they normally are in January. So that is freezing, and it looks like that's going to continue for quite some time. Cold air, looks like it's still there through... It looks like it'll start to ease up. But then it's not going to ease up for too long, because then we have the 2 systems coming in Tuesday. You see some of that cold air come in. And then by Wednesday... it might even be colder up in the Sierra than this last system was. All right, so earlier in this forecast, I was saying that today was the coldest day, I'd say, well, definitely of this year, but maybe even coldest day of this winter. We're about maybe 5 degrees below average for the Central Coast. Up in the Sierra, we're 20 to 25 degrees below average. Looking at this map now, it looks like when those 2 systems come through Tuesday and Wednesday, back-to-back cold fronts, all of that cold air is going to be filling in behind those fronts, and we're going to end up even colder than we are right now. So at that point, we'll most likely see some widespread frost advisories again, maybe some more freeze warnings, and then up in the Sierra, it's going to be maybe even dangerously cold, because that right there, look at that number. That is I should zoom in more. I got to remember that. That is 30 degrees below average, and you're already pretty cold this time of the year. And then the coldest air moves off as you get into Thursday and Friday, and then the next system comes in. Looks like that next one's not going to be as cold of a storm, the one towards the end of the week. So maybe that's some good news. Interested to see exactly how cold. Let's go around. Yeah, let's go zoom into Lake Tahoe here. And let's zoom into Tuesday morning. Lake Tahoe 26. What about Wednesday morning? Ooh, yeah, 23. And then Thursday morning, 14. Tahoe City, 8 degrees. Truckee, -4 degrees. Oh, that might be the top story. That is exceptionally cold. Whenever I'm doing this interactive approach where what I'm basically trying to do is figure out what the top story is, because then afterwards I record a little short form video where I explain pretty much everything I learn over the course of this 40-minute live stream, however long it ends up being, and I try to explain the top story in 1 minute for anybody who doesn't have the time to watch a whole 40 minutes. And I think this might end up being the top story, is that how cold it's going to be. That is Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So that is good to know. And then that Friday storm, let's see. Yeah, the Friday one's not as cold. It's still cold enough to get some snow up there. You're below freezing. But it's not as cold as Thursday morning, which was, -4 for Truckee. So that's pretty interesting, I would say. Now, I would say that summarizes Northern California. maybe we could look at the Sacramento chart too, just to see if they have anything different. Winter storm. Oh, their graphics aren't popping up just yet. So they do have that winter storm watch in place. We're waiting on those graphics. In the meantime, we can maybe check the forecast discussion. There we go. All right, snow number 1 forecast. Seeing a 6 to 8 inches, a 12 to 18 inches. Major snow Wednesday. My computer. Come on. All right, major snow on Wednesday. That's the cold storm. Remember how cold it's getting up in the mountains. We just looked at some of those 20 to even 30 degree below average temperatures. So that's where you have the red showing major impact. Can zoom in here. Expect disruptions to daily life, dangerous or impossible driving conditions. Avoid travel if possible. Widespread closures and disruption to infrastructure may occur. So it's almost like that first storm that comes through on Tuesday. The most important aspect of that isn't so much the rain or the snow that it brings. If you look at storm number 1, that's not... they're showing that through Wednesday night. So they're actually combining the 2 storms into one storm, it seems like. But there's a storm Tuesday, storm Wednesday. Or maybe they're not even calling the Tuesday one a storm. That might be what they're doing there because it's so minimal. But what will be happening on Tuesday is it brings in the cold air, which sets the stage for maybe what they're calling, storm number 1, Tuesday night to Wednesday night. Snow levels drop down from 3,000 to 4,500 feet, lowering to 2,000 to 3,000 feet. Sacramento National Weather Service office makes some great graphics. Reduced visibility with whiteout conditions at times, chain controls with travel delays and possible road closures. Major snow with major impacts. And this is for the winter storm watch. Forecast 12 to 18 inches of snow above 4,000 feet. So then below that's maybe where you're 6 inches to 1 foot. Wind gusts as high as 50 miles per hour. You got the combo of wind and snow that leads to very low visibility and all of those impacts that you see there. Slick and snow-covered roads, reduction in visibility at times, difficult driving conditions and travel delays, chain controls, and road closures possible. And cold water safety. Cold weather safety. Maybe I'm just thinking about the cold water because I'm debating going surfing today, but it's one of the coldest days of the year, so I don't know if I have it in me. Forecast discussion. Let's just read the summary right here. We're not going to go through all of these words. You can on your own time. I could actually just show you how to get there. If you go to the National Weather Service homepage, wow, there's a lot of warnings all over the country. Some blizzard warnings in the middle of the country, blizzard warnings up in, I believe that's the Cascades. Wow, that's probably the most warnings I've seen across the country this year. Again, not saying much. The year just started. So what I did there, National Weather Service homepage, then you get your cursor and you click directly on Sacramento, and then you can go to forecast discussion, and then that's going to lead you to that great little summary if you don't have time to watch this whole video. But it's saying cold and dry weather continues today. Precipitation chances return tonight and Tuesday, and the active weather pattern will persist through the weekend. So, little system Tuesday, potentially a major snowstorm on Wednesday, and then with very cold temperatures, and then a question mark storm at the end of the week. I'm not even going to really talk about the timing and totals too much on that one just yet, just because there's still a lot up in the air there. So now let's go check out Southern California. I think we got a good grasp on what's going on with NorCal, although we didn't check the winds. All right, SoCal people, I doubt anybody from SoCal just heard me talk about Northern California for a whole 30 minutes. But if you are from SoCal, we'll be going down there in a second. But first I want to see if any of these storms are going to be bringing gusty winds. Let's just click into Tahoe. I'll set my cursor there so that we have a gauge on how windy it actually is. Not windy today, that's 12 miles per hour. Then Tuesday storm comes in. You get some gusts up to 30. Where's that spot right there? 38 miles per hour. Okay, so Tuesday afternoon you start getting those wind gusts up in the Sierra. Glad that we did look at the gusts, because that's part of the story too. 30, 40 mile per hour gusts. That means you can occasionally have some gusts more than that, up to 50 miles per hour. Does continue for quite a long period of time. That's all the way into Tuesday night. And then remember, there's another storm coming in, and this one's the more powerful of the two. So we'll most likely see some windier conditions here. That's Wednesday morning, 42, 46 miles per hour, 51 miles per hour. So this storm coming in on Wednesday could actually be a major snowstorm. And then even in the Bay Area, if you click in here, that's 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts. Santa Cruz Mountains, 30 mile per hour gusts. But I would say Sierra is the story on this one. That's Wednesday afternoon. And then it starts to move off and potentially down into Southern California by early Thursday morning. So that's a good transition down into Southern California. Let's just look at the graphic first. Low temps Monday night. Yep, it's going to be chilly. So Lompoc, or is it Lompoc? Lompoc, that's what I'm going to say. 28 degrees, Santa Barbara 38 degrees. These are your lows. 42 for Los Angeles. Probably stays a little warmer when you have all that smog trapping in the heat. Although it's been really clear skies up in the Bay Area recently, so hopefully LA's had some clear skies as well. Let's just check out the summary. Actually, looking at the warnings first. They do have some freeze warnings out there. And there is a high surf advisory as well, so there's some to look at. I notice every time I go to windy, my browsers get a little slow. So hopefully it's all caught up now. High surf advisory. This is San Luis Obispo County beaches to Santa Barbara County Central Coast beaches until 2 p.m. this afternoon, with some high surf 7 to 10 feet. So that's part of the story as well. Local sets to 12 feet. And yeah, anytime you have waves that big, that's where it's probably experts only out there. You don't really want to mess around in that. You get pulled out by a rip and you're getting smashed by some big waves. That's dangerous. A lot of our deaths in California in terms of weather do actually come back to our coastlines. People will go out there, you're looking from the rocks, it looks like it's pretty calm, and then a sneaker wave comes through, knocks you off the rocks, then a rip pulls you out, and you're in your clothes. And it is, no matter how good of a swimmer you are, if you're in jeans and a sweatshirt, that's pretty hard to swim in. So this is the freeze warning that we're now looking at. Santa Barbara County, San Ynez, going down through Southern California, Solvang, Great Abelskiva down there. Freeze warning in effect from 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. Tuesday. Freeze warning will expire at 10 a.m. this morning. So Southern California, interestingly, might be even colder than the Bay Area and Central Coast tonight. And I guess that makes sense because the cold front is still kind of moving down there. So maybe as cold as we were last night is how cold they're going to be tonight. And then, yeah, it says when 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Okay, let's go check out the forecast discussion for this. Kind of goes from the Central Coast down through Southern California. A dry and cold air mass left behind in the wake of this past weekend storm will continue below normal temperatures and cold overnight low temperatures. Another cold and mostly dry storm system will dig into region between Wednesday and Thursday. So it's a little delayed timing because they come from the north. So it moves into NorCal first, then goes down into Southern California. Gusty winds and temperatures below average will continue. The best chance of any precipitation will be for northern portions of the area and up into the northern slopes of the mountains. All right. I think that was pretty straightforward. Let's check out some maps. So Southern California, we'll look at the rain rates first. Let's go to one of the models that's completely filled out here. So nothing throughout the day today. Still, where's those first little showers in the Central Coast? That's Tuesday at 1 p.m. That's the first system. Yeah, I officially can't call that one a storm. So the Tuesday system, that seems like it's just for Northern California, not so much Southern. But then you start to see some light rain move into Santa Cruz Mountains and Big Sur. That's 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Maybe gets into some moderate rain 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Yeah, the Wednesday, it's more of a mountain storm, I would say. It's cold, it's a lot of snow, very gusty winds up there. Just looks to be some light to moderate rain for the Central Coast. And then by the time it gets to Southern California, there's a little snow. And then a little rain down in San Diego, but that's close to nothing on that first one. So that timing on that, let's just see. 10 a.m. on Wednesday to 7 a.m. on Thursday. And that's not much going on there. Now let's check that little, what we used to call the Fantasyland storm. It used to show heavy rain, even some heavy snow going all the way down into Southern California. Timing on it does still look like heavy rain for the Santa Cruz Mountains. That's 4 p.m. on Saturday. Some heavy snow for the Southern Sierra. It moves more quickly than the models used to show, though. So that's why our totals aren't going to be as large. If you're getting heavy rainfall, but it's over a short period of time, obviously you're not going to pick up as much rain in terms of your totals if you have heavy rainfall for a long period of time. Probably don't even need to say that. So by 10 p.m. on Saturday right now, it looks like that front is cutting through Santa Barbara up into the Southern Sierra. There's the low itself. Some heavy snow at that point. But then, it moves quickly. It falls apart by 4 a.m. on Sunday. No, by 10 a.m. on Sunday. So you might still, breaking down the timing on that one, that would be 1 p.m. on Saturday through 10 a.m. on Sunday. It goes from the Central Coast through Southern California. So that's not nearly... You can go back and watch my last forecast. The last one was showing the low just basically sitting off the coast, continuing to funnel in moisture. And I was just kept clicking and clicking through the forecast model, and it was just constant heavy rain, heavy snow for days at a time. Now it looks like it's a pretty quick moving system. So that leads me to believe it's still the northern storm that's going to come down, which could mean more widespread snow. But whatever that atmospheric river was that we were looking at, it seems like that fell apart. And we can look at that on the windy map in a moment. So let's go through Wednesday night, or Thursday morning, because it's a little delayed. That's going to be Thursday at 4 p.m. Salinas 0.1. Most of our Southern California cities, you notice there's not even numbers. That means it's trace rainfall. So the midweek storms seem to miss Southern California. Then let's go to the end of the week. Salinas, 1/2 inch. Looks like more for the Santa Cruz Mountains and Big Sur. It's in the pink, so maybe 1 to 2 inches. And then down in Southern California, widespread 0.1s from LA down to San Diego. But, oh no, so that is including the big storm that we were looking at. Yeah, that one kind of fell apart on us a little bit, at least for Southern California. It still looks like that could be bring a lot of heavy rain, especially up into Northern California. Let's see if there's any good news in terms of snowfall. I guess it all depends on your perspective. If you don't like rain and snow, then you enjoy seeing these systems fall apart. But if you're more concerned about wildfire and the water supply, then it hasn't been a great year in terms of rainfall so far. So we actually kind of want some more rain to come into the state. Let's click through. That's through Thursday afternoon. That's decent for the Southern Sierra. You see a little pink in there, which is between 6 to 12 inches. Not much down here in Southern California. And then going all the way through the weekend storm, get some, I don't know what you call that, burgundy. That's going to be maybe around 1 to 2 feet of snow, so that's pretty good. The second system, honestly, this might be the better way to do it, because originally it was showing just a massive storm that would have led to most likely a lot of damage and just more hazards. This one is still most likely enough to lead to some hazards, but it's not as bad as the original models that were showing orange throughout the entire Sierra, which was like 5 to 7 feet of snow. I'm sure skiers and snowboarders just hate hearing me say that, though, because if they're anything like surfers, you're probably thinking, oh, the bigger the better, the more the better. Oh, not everybody thinks that, so it's all nuanced. So that's what your snow totals look like for Southern California through the end of the week. Now, let's go check out the temperatures down in Southern California, because it looks like they have a chance of being colder than Northern California tonight. Let's see if I can click through. Yeah. So 10 to 15 degrees below average. And then let's see if they get as cold as, see, the Sierra ends up being 20 to 30 degrees below average as we get into Thursday morning. And then, yeah, some of that cold air does shift down into Southern California. That's going to be about 10 to 15 degrees below average. It looks like in the higher elevations, 5 to 10 degrees below average in the lower elevations and closer to the coast, where you get a little bit moderated by the water. But yeah, it's going to be a cold start to the year, I think is the best way to put it. Let's actually see how cold. Go down into Southern California. And yeah, let's click on LA. And we'll have this thing pop up where, oh wow, 35 degrees, 39 degrees. Seen anything colder than a 35? There's another 39. That's Friday 10 p.m. It's interesting they get warmer overnight. That makes no sense to me. Friday from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. it gets 2 degrees warmer. Usually you just have your heat evaporating into space and it gets colder. So yeah, it looks like the coldest we could see there, was, I believe that was Thursday morning. No, it was right now. So it's all uphill from here. It's 35. Okay, that's enough time on temperatures. Let's check the winds. Let's go wind gusts down for Southern California. And I'll just click up into the mountains here, get a little number, 25 mile per hour gust today. Then as you get into Tuesday, you start getting some winds up in Santa Barbara. That's 30 mile per hour gusts right there. That's going to be 36 mile per hour gusts. But it looks like much windier conditions expected Wednesday afternoon. North of Barstow, 48 miles per hour. And then it looks like it becomes a bit more widespread, up to 40 to 50 miles per hour. You get this little pocket in here, though, that's blue, so that's not going to be as windy. That's 7 mile per hour gusts. Looks like it's up more to the northwest, or northeast of Los Angeles County. I got to work on my geography for Southern California. I've spent way more time up around the Bay Area and the Central Coast. Need to fill in that weakness. 38 mile per hour. Okay. Now let's go to the end of the week storm. See if there's anything. Oh yeah, looks like it's getting very windy sometime on Sunday. But that's so far off in the forecast. We're just going to wait to really lock in anything there. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Let's maybe go back to the warnings page right now, just so you can see what's going on. Dark blue is going to be your freeze warnings. Light blue is going to be your winter storm watch. And then, or winter weather watch. Actually, let's check that right now. I should definitely know which one is which. National Weather Service home. I think it's winter storm watch. Oh, it's winter weather advisory. Oh, wait, no. There's also winter storm watch. Haha, I was right. Okay. Winter weather advisory and winter storm watch. I wonder how those are different. Winter storm watch in effect above 2,500 feet. Okay, snow and wind. All right, I think we answered that question. Before I get too sidetracked again, I probably should wrap this up. I think I've been talking for about 45 minutes. So if you're new to the live stream, I am about to record like a 1-minute video, and then I throw some visuals on that, some maps on that, so you can get the whole gist of this 40-minute video over the course of 1 minute. And what is the top story? So the top story for California would be there's a small system coming through Tuesday. Light rain, some snow. But what's most important about that Tuesday system is it's going to have cold air fill in behind it. So then when the larger storm comes through on Wednesday, what we could call it storm number 1. Can't even call Tuesdays a storm. Then the stage is already set. It's very cold out there. So then the Wednesday cold front comes through. That drops down temperatures even more Wednesday. And then we get widespread snow. Looks like we could get 12 to 18 inches between mostly on Wednesday. And then with that, I could get the satellite up here. So we're going to be combining snow with gusty winds. We also looked at that. Could have some 40, 50 mile per hour gusts. It's going to reduce visibility, lead to hazardous driving conditions. We'll definitely see some winter storm warnings pop up on Wednesday, but we're also going to have the return of very cold air. It looks like Thursday morning up in the mountains could be 20 to even 30 degrees below average, potentially even getting into the sub-zero temperatures in some parts of the Sierra. We'll most likely see widespread frost advisories and freeze warnings throughout Bay Area, Central Coast, and then it looks like Southern California is going to continue to see a lot of that cold air as well. The big question mark, so major snowstorm, I would say on Wednesday. We'll keep an eye on that. Tuesday is really just setting the stage for that one. And then things maybe ease up Thursday and Friday, but then as you get later in the day Friday, the timing on this one's definitely going to change, but then we have potentially a bigger storm coming through, but it looks like it's going to be a little bit warmer as of right now, which means we'll have more heavy rainfall, but higher snow levels. Some of the snow levels on Wednesday were dropping down to 2,000 feet. So a lot to watch throughout the course of this week. I'll continue to do these live streams every single day where we can kind of figure out what the California weather story is together. And if you don't want to watch the whole 48, 49-minute live stream, I'll work on that short form video right now, and I'll get that posted as soon as possible. So, fun going through the weather with you all, and thanks for watching.